Well, hello and welcome to everybody participating in today's call and presentation. Thanks for joining on today's webinar. I am your host, Joe DeLucchi, and I am the CEO of Cal Insurance. We are a regional brokerage firm and strategic insurance partner for middle market businesses. Today, we have an Office 365 introduction and overview, which will be presented by Brandy Manuel and Craig Kuba from Intivix. Folks may remember who have been on webinars in 2016 that Rob Shank, who is the president and CEO of Intivix, he and I did a three-part series on cybersecurity and various exposures, malware and ransomware. Those were really some of the big topics we explored. Today, I'm excited to be a part and the host of this particular webinar. And so just a little housekeeping before we get started. The session's being recorded and it's going to also be posted to the blog page at intivix.com next week. If you have questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box in your control panel, and we will answer them throughout the presentation. We will also have time for some Q&A at the end. So now, without any further ado, I'm going to turn this over to our friends at Intivix, Brandy and Craig.
Well, thank you, Joe. We really appreciate the introduction, and it's great to be here with you guys today. Before we begin the presentation, there are two quick items that we would like to cover with you. First, we were going to present a couple of polls, but due to a little glitch, unfortunately, the poll piece of this presentation is not available. So I'm going to ask that you type your answers into your Q&A panel. And I apologize for the inconvenience, but if you wouldn't mind helping us out and bearing with us today, because we do have a few poll questions that we would like you to answer. And it's basically so you can provide information to us that will help us better serve you during our upcoming Office 365 Deep Dive webinar series. Okay, so now for the second item. To encourage your participation, towards the end of this presentation, we're going to be giving away a free 1-year Office 365 Home Edition subscription. So basically, we're going to take a random name from the Q&A and the questions that you're asking in your control panel, and we'll notify you by email. So please be sure to ask your questions and make sure you put your name in the control panel so you don't come across as anonymous. All right, so now for the Office 365 overview that we're promising. So this is relative because of different factors, but think about the way you communicated and worked with your coworkers and your clients 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. Well, today, the world is definitely working differently. We've shifted from making things on our own and by ourselves in an office full of cubicles or a cube farm, and now we're collaborating with our teammates, our customers, our clients, virtually in real time on many different devices and from different locations. The world of working at just one desk out of one office and working 9 to 5 has completely changed, and it will continue to change. For example, it could be your finance department or even your customer service department. It could be in a different building. It could be in a different city, potentially even a different country. But now we're all working on tablets and phones. You get to work from your doctor's office, a coffee shop, or even in your car when you're dropping off the kids at school. This just isn't within my organization or yours either. It's the way that your customers, your partners, and your vendors are working. They're moving to the cloud, and you'll want to be using the same things they are, just so we can stay in the game. In order to help us stay in that game, Microsoft has developed 3 core principles of Office 365. We're going to worry less, work easier, and work together. So let's protect what you value most, right? We want to worry less. Well, Office 365 helps us stay secure in knowing that we're managing and being protected, and we're protecting our company's devices and data. We're going to work easier. We get to work from anywhere. Office 365 lets everyone work in the way they work best, both in and out of the office. And we're using trusted business applications that we're already used to, such as Word, PowerPoint, Basically, your PowerPoint, Excel, and Microsoft Exchange, these are all applications that you're already used to. So you get to use these while benefiting from a consistent experience across all your devices. And this includes both your iOS and Android devices. And nowadays, we're collaborating a lot more. We're working together. And Office 365 gives you that flexibility to easily access and edit documents in real time across devices and platforms. You know that you're working on one version. And you can also share these documents securely and hold productive meetings from multiple locations. So, a few key points on how Office 365 helps you worry less. Let's talk about what you and your company value most, right? Security and that support. You can feel secure with Office 365 because they help you and your company manage your devices and data while also giving your company a competitive edge. For example, if you have specific client compliance needs within your organization, Office 365 gives you compliance features all in one place to meet these regulations for your specific industry and your specific company. And another option is you have 24/7 technical phone support for critical issues. Though I have to say this is probably more of a feature that your IT or your administrators would use. And you also get to benefit from product improvements that are ever more integrated and adaptive to the way that you and your teams work. Basically, Microsoft is continuously keeping itself up to date and across all the platforms and applications you use. Basically, you don't have to worry about it. Craig or Joe, I'm not even sure if you remember this, but I remember years back, I'd have to reboot my system every time something needed to be updated on my computers just so it could be pushed. I would delay it as long as I possibly could, which I don't recommend doing because I knew it would take forever. Well, now I don't have to do that.
Yeah, no, I definitely remember that, and that is a key point of excitement actually for me as a business owner with the integration of 365, and this is really important too.
It is. And on another note, talking about what we value most in security, I can't tell you how much better I feel about working on documents. Literally sitting on BART on my way into work, I can edit some documents and send them, but I know that they're going to be secure. It feels great. Microsoft also wants us to work the way we want to work easier. Who doesn't that sound good to? So think about this question just for a moment. How do you like to work? I understand it's a little vague, but think about this. Do you work better in an office on certain documents, or maybe you work better from home on other projects? Maybe your coworkers or your employees or your clients like to work differently as well. And where are they geographically speaking? Well, part of the working easier means you don't actually have to worry about where your coworkers, your team members, or your clients are located. You get a familiar experience across all your devices, and you and your coworkers can work from anywhere, whether or not you have access to the internet. And you can easily access critical information and documentation when you're out of the office while still ensuring that your data is secure.
So a quick silly question for you, Brandy. You know, clearly I have Office 365 on my desktop and I'm familiar with how to work it there. But if I want it on my tablet or my phone, is it an app that I'm installing?
There are several different apps that Microsoft does offer. And yes, if you looked at my phone, you would see PowerPoint, you would see Microsoft Teams, you would see OneDrive for Business, Skype for Business. So everything that they offer for your desktop is, yes, also an application. That was a great question. Thank you so much.
And I would add, though, depending on the license level you purchase in Office 365, that would entitle you to, say, the Microsoft Office Suite, and you can install that on up to 5 devices. So you could have a machine at work and 2 machines at home with Microsoft Office as part of the licensing.
Thank you, Craig. Yes, definitely a good point to make. And since we're talking about the different applications and benefits and whatnot in Office 365, I'm hoping the attendees wouldn't mind answering a question that I should have asked probably at the beginning. But I want to know how experienced you are with Office 365. It will give us a feel for whether or not you're new, or you have some experience, or if you feel that you're a power user. If you wouldn't mind just submitting that in the sidebar, I would really appreciate it. Again, all this information and feedback, it will be used to enhance our future webinar series. Because this is an overview, this entire presentation is definitely going to be a little bit high level for our more seasoned or power users. But if you had feedback or comments during the presentation, we definitely welcome them. Microsoft also wants to foster team collaboration, and this is very apparent in everything that they're coming out with. And they do this by providing applications and features within Office 365, and this enables cross-group collaboration and access to people, ideas, and information when we all need it most. Collaborating and staying productive has never been so easy and secure. And now we can author and co-author, share and edit files together in real time. Because we have seamless document review, creation and collaboration, we have multi-location meeting access and hosting, and also secure platforms that allow IM or instant messaging with approved customers or vendors, of course. I see we have a question in the question queue.
There's Q&A.
Yeah, there's Q&A. We have a couple of questions coming in. Well, while we figure this one out, I want to ask if anyone remembers a while back, a couple years ago, if you needed something right away, basically you needed approval or input from a coworker or your manager on something that had a very strict deadline, but they weren't responding fast enough to your email or your phone call, how would you react? I know, yeah.
It would be panicked.
Well, personally, Joe, would you get up and try to track them down even if they were at lunch?
Absolutely, if it's critical.
Right. Well, now we don't have to do that. We can bug them in a million other ways and get a fast and quick answer because we're able to collaborate on so many different levels. Okay, so far it looks like I only have one answer about the level of experience. So if the other users wouldn't mind participating and just letting me know how experienced you are with Office 365, I would really appreciate it. And while you guys respond, we'll go ahead and move on. So the native applications that you and your customers are already familiar with, we talked about Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and even Outlook. Well, of course, these are part of Office 365. In addition to what we've already covered about the features and benefits, to further boost the native application experience, Office 365 also provides a set of additional services that helps enable better communication, collaboration, and data access, as well as storage across all your devices. We can't cover all of them, but to name a few, we have Skype for Business, Yammer, and OneDrive for Business. On or offline, at your desk, or anywhere else, and from multiple devices, you can help ensure that you and your coworkers, your customers, and clients, you're going to get what you need, when and where you need it. And don't forget, Microsoft is continuously pushing updates, so you'll always be up to date. As I mentioned, there are several applications that Office 365 offers, and this is so we can work together easier, from a group and team collaboration to just maybe two of us trying to get some work done. Skype for Business is a really good example of this. First, Skype allows users to communicate and provide feedback when it's important and when decisions need to be made, kind of like what we were just talking about. You're also able to IM wherever you are, or you can do what's called, you can ping someone a request just so you can get a quick bit of information or a fast fact. You can also present a PowerPoint, review a Word document, or Excel. You can even present what's called a virtual whiteboard. And this is great because it helps keep everyone on the same page during a virtual meeting. I don't know how many people use Skype versus Zoom or GoToMeetings, but for me, the features in Skype and the collaboration, it makes it seamless and easy. So a couple examples. If I need information from a coworker or I need him to take a look at a document I'm working on, if we're not in the same location, I can share my document through Skype. If he doesn't have time right away, I can easily go to my Outlook and schedule a meeting in Skype right through my Outlook. And on a similar note, when I do pick up a phone and call my coworkers, it's generally through Skype, not my cell phone. And the reason I do this, regardless of whatever it is that we're going to be talking about, if questions arise, I can easily share my desktop or present a document so we can review and work on it together. Any questions that come up during our conversation can be immediately resolved without having to take additional steps or time. Joe, have you used this feature?
No, I've not used Skype for business just yet, just Skype personal, and that's what we've been using. I've got to
Okay.
upgrade though.
Oh, good. We like to hear that. So the other piece that we were talking about is Yammer. It's another collaboration tool that Microsoft offers. And from my experience, when I ask companies if they use Yammer, it's about 50-50 yes, no response. I don't know if any of the attendees listening use Yammer, but it would be beneficial for us to hear whether or not you like or dislike the tool or what you find beneficial about it. In the meantime, a few key points about Yammer. If you look at this screen, you can see that the feed's very similar to social media. You can use Yammer to easily create your own private social media networks. So basically think of it as your company's internal Facebook. You can also share information and communication across teams and make faster and more informed decisions based on this information. The other great feature about Yammer is you can find the work that others have done and you can build on it with what's called a smart search.
I used Yammer, but it was a few years ago. I haven't been back. This is definitely a different platform than I remember.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like I said, they're constantly pushing updates.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay, it looks like we're getting some comments. This is great. Thank you for the feedback, everyone. All right, OneDrive for Business. I can't say enough about this, but OneDrive for Business is an integral part of Office 365. It provides a place in the cloud you can store, share, and sync all of your work files. And this actually is one of the services that I have to admit, it makes my work life super simplistic. I'm confident in the way I'm always accessing the latest version of my document and from any one of my devices. And whether it's from the Office 365 web portal or my desktop, it's there. I can also easily share documents with others both inside and outside of my organization and control who sees it versus who edits it. This makes me feel secure again. I also get to collaborate on files and documents in real time and securely. So I'm thinking, Joe and Craig, do you guys remember the storm that we had here a couple weeks ago?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if any of you remember the storm, but a couple weeks ago in the Bay Area, there was a huge storm. And just to kind of give you an idea, the winds were strong enough to relocate like a small child. Or as I know it now, it actually, I think most of California is now out of a drought. But during the storm, it knocked out all the power in my neighborhood and all the surrounding neighborhoods. Unfortunately, I was working from my PC on a work document. When the power went out, instead of having a mild panic attack and pacing back and forth, waiting for the power to come on, I calmly walked away from my computer because I knew OneDrive was going to automatically update and save my document and back it up. And I can tell you that felt so good to be able to walk away from it. Have you had that experience, Joe, where you forgot to save something and you just knew it was gone?
Yeah, more so back in the day, less so as I've gotten wiser.
No, and Brandon, you bring up an important point, because when you save your documents in the cloud, it's not like saving them on a small file server in a closet in your office, anything like that. They're in a very safe, secure place and a very redundant place, so that if you have an event like what you described, your data is there and it's saved in real time.
Exactly. And that's what I appreciate most about it. But yes, so OneDrive is definitely, for those of you who aren't familiar, a cloud-based service. So I'm hoping by now it's becoming a little bit clear why Office 365 is an amazing productivity tool. And it is so for many reasons. As we've discussed, we know it's securely powered by the cloud and it allows optimal communication. And we also know it's installed on your local devices, so you still have control. Your private information is not out in the public for everyone to access. And again, reiterating, they are secure and in your control. You control who sees these documents and who gets to edit these documents. So I was going to present a second poll at this time. So if you wouldn't mind just humoring me and entering in your answers in the question and answers, I would greatly appreciate it. But I'd like to know, out of you listening, how many of you, or I should say, how often do you use a device other than your work computer, such as your smartphone or your tablet, to complete your work-based tasks? And if you could just let me know, maybe sometimes, often, or never. Again, this will help us tailor more specific sessions in the future. So we've talked about some of the features and benefits of Office 365. So let's take a little bit of a deeper look into those features and those benefits. We're going to worry less. So Office 365 is your always up-to-date productivity tool, and it's continuously being updated. Let's review some of the features specific to Office 2016. I'll probably skip over some of these just because they're better to be discussed in a future session where we take that deeper look into those specific applications. But Outlook MFA, or multi-factor authentication. We can securely access content anywhere, and we know that we're protecting our corporate network. And we have new DLP policies. So this significantly reduces the risk of leaking sensitive data with a built-in data loss prevention, which is our DLP. And this is across all those familiar applications we've been talking about. And as we've spoken about, you'll never miss a security update because Office 365 provides these automatically every month, and they're also including their features. So any features that have updates, those will also be included. Now if we move over to working easier and how Office 365 and Office 2016 is helping us do that. We get to co-author like never before, and we can do this in these native apps that we've been talking about, including some of the newer ones such as OneNote. Skype meetings, we can work like we're all in one room, even if we're not, because Skype for Business allows us to connect with other Skype users via instant message, voice, and video calls. And we can also let people know what our status is online, if we're available or if we're busy, if we're in a meeting. And another great feature is Skype. If you're busy, it will let the person know when you're not busy. So if you're in a meeting and I try to get a hold of you, it will tell me that you're in a meeting, but it will send me a notification once you've made your status available. And Outlook 2016 is definitely built to make sure that we work more efficiently. So everyone on your to line, when you're sending emails, has the right access with modern attachments. So basically what this means is when you send attachment, it won't keep multiple versions in your file, but it will only keep that one newer version. And we're going to work together. Take your Office anywhere on any device with one complete set of fully featured Office mobile apps. And again, this is for Windows, Android, and your iOS. You can get through your emails faster. The smartest inbox is Outlook 2016. It's built to give you lightning fast searches, but it also removes your low priority mail automatically. Of course, this is probably a feature your IT or administrator has to set up, and it doesn't delete it, it just removes it to maybe a lower priority inbox. A couple of my favorite features are down here on the bottom. The Tell Me, you can find the right command and you type it in to this Tell Me box. So basically, let's say we're in Word. At the top of your Word document, you're gonna see this little light bulb. And instead of going to search for answers to questions you might have about Word, you type your question in right there and it populates a multitude of different answers. So you get your answers quicker than trying to search for them, basically. We also have a new Smart Lookup. And with the Smart Lookup, if you have questions, let's say you're working on a thesis and you need additional documentation, you can type in your Smart Lookup what you're looking for. And because Microsoft is now integrated with Bing, it brings it right up into the document that you're working on. It doesn't override anything, but it gives you the ability to look side by side at the information you're searching versus what you're working on. And it even brings up pictures, so you can cut and paste to and from your document. And if you want to delve deeper, all you have to do is click on the link and then you'll be brought out to another web browser. And we have always there document. So this is what I mentioned before when my power went out. You can pick up right where you left off. As your most recently used document list, it travels with you and across all your devices. Craig, do you have anything to add about any of these?
Yeah, I did want to mention on multi-factor authentication. Folks, you may not know what that means, but you use it probably already. If you logged into your bank's website, they may require it. If you managed your healthcare online, they may require it. You're seeing it more and more. And that's when you go to log in somewhere and they then send a code to your phone, a text, some other value that you have to input. and that's what they mean by multi-factor authentication. It's a second factor that you have to utilize. And it's widely regarded as one of the more effective security techniques these days because a hacker gets your password and they get access to things. But if you're using multi-factor, they're needing to have your phone or some other way of, or a phone number that you're being dialed at for that second factor. And generally speaking, that's a hard thing for a hacker to get. So you'll see more and more of this in the world, and we're glad to have it in Office 365 because it helps a lot.
Yes, it does. I think my bank's now even doing that, so I can access it through my mobile app. We have multi-factor authentication there. The gold standard for your business. As we look a little more into the features and the benefits of Office 365 and Office 2016, I actually think that you're going to become more excited about the applications within Office 365. Basically, we get now capture your ideas however you work best. And this is based on what's available to you, of course, but you can use your keyboard, a pen, and now there's technology for touchscreen, as you know. We can also easily format in Excel with tools that recognize pattern and will auto-complete data for you. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Excel, but this is a huge new feature. We can also easily incorporate content from PDFs to create your own great-looking Word document. Now, great looking and Word, they weren't synonymous before, and it's not always easy to manipulate once you've created a Word document with a lot of data. So again, another great feature added. We also now get to design custom marketing materials that fit our brands and our customers. I found that Publisher and PowerPoint are great tools for this. PowerPoint specifically now has what's called design ideas. It's like having your own personal assistant designer in your pocket. So once you click on a picture and you drop it into your PowerPoint, if you go to your design and design ideas, they'll automatically populate with different presentations for you. Kind of takes all the guesswork out of what looks good. And we always have up-to-date tools. You'll get synced up-to-date files across or access online, and Office applications are always the latest version. So we've talked a lot about the trusted native tools that you most often use. Now let's briefly talk about some of the additional applications Microsoft is offering that enhances these overall experiences to these native applications, and that will help collaborating and sharing and making your productive day go by easier. Over the next set of slides, we'll mention some of these tools, and while some of you might not have had the opportunity to use the tools, we're just going to provide a few highlights of their features. And keep in mind, this presentation is part of an overall Office 365 webinar series that we're offering, and we'll look deeper into some of these applications and tools in future sessions. So the first one we have here is groups. Groups helps users collaborate more effectively by providing a shared inbox, a shared calendar, shared document library and site, as well as a Yammer feed. It's also integrated across Exchange as well. You have public groups that enable users to discover new information and also meet new people within their organization. Granted, this is probably based on a larger company. And you don't have to manually create any resources for the new group members. Creating the group will automatically create the necessary permissions that you'll need. So when you add members, the permissions are already there. Joe, have you ever used groups?
No, I've not used them yet.
Like I said, there's so many different tools. Next, we have Office 365 video experience. And I'll probably ask Craig to help me out in a minute because I know that he has experience with our own personal company. But basically, with Office 365 video, you can capture, share, and discover videos from any one of your devices, and you get to create and manage and subscribe to various channels. So it's kind of like your company has its own internal YouTube. You also get secure cloud-based video upload, storage, and optimized playback. Craig, I'm wondering if you might be able to talk about how Intivix uses Office 365 as part of our onboarding process?
Yeah, so onboarding new employees for us can be a very laborious thing. I think it is for all businesses. And to streamline that effort, we started doing all of the major training things we used to do one-on-one, human to human. Now we have a lot of that being done via video. So for us, it's training in a few major software packages, unique to our business. And we recorded the trainings, and then we played those for the new hires. And then we also follow those up with small test things to make sure that they were paying attention. And we found it to be extremely effective. Rather than spending time with each new hire, now we start them out with the videos. And of course, we still do one-on-one time, but we've minimized that tremendously.
Thank you. And I actually was able to speak to some of the partners, and their guess is that we've gone from a one-on-one or side-by-side training that would normally take upwards of 1 month, based on the position, of course, to about a week because they can do it on their time. Does that sound about right?
I think that's right.
That's a lot of time saved. And again, based on who we're hiring, whether it's an engineer or an executive assistant, we can create different channels.
And if you are willing to do transcription, which is to listen and type in major text, important points from the videos, then it becomes searchable. So if you want one piece of information out of an hour of video, you'd be able to find that easily.
Yeah, and we have definitely transcribed, I think, all those videos, right? Well, now we move on to our next, which is BI for everyone. Business intelligence provides interactive visualizations with business intelligent capabilities, where end users can create reports, they can create dashboards all by themselves. This is huge. And we can do this without having to depend on information technology staff or a database administrator. So you can transform your company's data into rich visuals, but like I was saying, you can transform your company's data into rich visuals for you to collect and organize. This way you can focus on what matters most for your business, and you can also stay in the know by spotting trends as they happen through Power BI. You can also filter, shape, and merge queries from multiple data sources. And another great feature is you can search and connect to corporate and public data all within Excel. Joe, have you ever used Power BI?
No, I've not used that yet.
There's so many different options. Delve is another integrated collaborating and sharing productivity tool that Microsoft offers. You can search and discover content and insight that's derived from individual user behavior, their relationship, and how they connect with other people and topics. So basically, Delve knows what's relevant to you. You can also discover new information and tailor it to your network. And you can stay connected and informed on topics that matter most. So with Delve, the brain behind it is called the Office Graph. And what the Office Graph is, it's basically continuously collecting and analyzing signals that you and your colleagues send when you work within Office 365. So for example, let's say when you and a colleague are modifying or viewing or working on the same document, you're sending a signal to the Office Graph, and it's signaling that you're likely going to be working together. Other signals might be who you communicate with via email, or who you've shared other documents with, who your manager is, and who your other coworkers' managers are. So it's kind of like a learning artificial intelligence. Last feature that I'll mention right now, on the list at least, is Microsoft Teams. This is a fairly new application, but I have to say I really like it. So get this: Word, Excel, PowerPoint, SharePoint, OneNote, Planner, Power BI, Skype, and Delve. All these applications are built into Microsoft Teams. So people have all the information and tools they need at their fingertip. You can have team conversations, and by default, they're visible to the entire team, but you still have the ability to, of course, have a private discussion if you need to. And all of your content, all of your tools, all of your team members and conversations, they're available within your team workspace. and you can work on these documents and applications right out of Microsoft Teams. So it's basically bringing your team players, your conversations, your files, and all the tools that you need into one place. So everyone has instant access to everything that's needed. So we've touched on several of these collaboration tools. And again, just remember that while Office 365 offers numerous tools for collaborating, it's really up to you and your organization to find out which tools works best for you and your teams or your department and company. They could vary between departments. So we would really like to know, based on our learning experience as well, we've provided a lot of information, but what topics would you most like to learn about in Office? So we have Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and even Outlook, kind of as your native applications that we've spoken about. But are there other topics that you would like to hear about in upcoming webinar series, such as Skype for Business, OneNote, Microsoft Teams? If you could type in your answers and let us know and provide that feedback, we would greatly appreciate it. Okay, so let's quickly review while you guys are typing why we are going to worry less. We have automatic updates to keep current across all of our applications. We can add or change employees with just one click. Again, this is an IT or administrator feature. And we have a single license that Craig talked about that allows individuals to work from their preferred devices and up to 5 different devices. And again, reiterating how we're going to work easier and how Microsoft Office is going to help us do that. We have a worldwide standard of desktop applications with the familiar tools and formats that we're already used to. We have the ability to create and edit documents in real time with our colleagues and our clients. And you and your employees can work from anywhere, whether you have access to the internet or not. And we're going to work together. We're going to collaborate. Basic to more complex collaboration is across all platforms and devices, and we can host or join multi-location meetings with any of these devices. Can also work with teams and customers via sharing sites, and as we discussed, videos, and private social media networking sites such as Yammer. So as mentioned, this session is primarily meant to give you a really high-level overview so that you can see how Office 365 can not only help you work more efficiently, but you and your company will benefit from utilizing all of the features. I'm sure some of you have questions, and before we get to the questions, I do have one last question I would like you to answer in the Q&A bar. I want to know, for a high-level presentation, did you find this useful? You can either answer, yes, I found it useful, somewhat, or no. If you didn't find it useful, though, some feedback would be greatly appreciated.
And so as, Brandy, as folks are answering your question there, are there any questions that you want to read aloud and share an answer to?
Yes, well, I see, never. So there are more feedback than there are questions right now. It's great feedback, so thank you, everyone who's participating. I really appreciate it.
Great, and we definitely want to remind everybody the session has been recorded, and it will be posted on the blog page at Intivix.com next week. Brandy, Craig, anything else you want to cover before we wrap up?
Oh, I just wanted to say, and Brandy's touched on it, but the cloud, and in this case, Office 365 from Microsoft, it really is the direction that we see IT going. The nature of information technology has changed. You know, if you're going to be a IT professional, you better embrace change. And the cloud isn't new. It's been here for some years, but it's really moving fast now because more and more companies are going that direction.
Craig,
and we've gotten, yeah, I'm sorry, Brandy.
No, I was going to say, do you think more and more companies are going that way because of how much more secure they are, or the cloud is?
Well, I think it's the rich feature set. You know, we didn't really get into some of the specific features and editing online and collaborating, but also it's the security. And it's just, you know, at a base level, if you think, oh, we had a server in our office in a closet and the power goes out and all sorts of terrible things can happen. And those things are just gone when you put all your data out there in the cloud. And I'll give you a quick example. At a startup I worked at many years ago, we had that very thing happen. We had a little server serving about 50 people in the company, and we grew to 200 in less than a year. But at about the stage of 50, the little server we had was stolen. Someone left the door open in the night, and someone came in and ran down the street with our server. And yeah, we were able to restore from tape, and it took a few days to get things back online. But it was scary to say the least. And I would say, yeah, I know, but I would just tell you that that's not a scenario you should ever see with Office 365.
That's funny. I can't picture, or I'm trying to picture somebody running down the street with a server. I know. I know they come in all sizes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I actually do have a little something I'd like to touch on. I want to remind you guys to please check your inbox for the future sessions that we will have. And again, these will be diving deeper. So as Craig said, we didn't get to touch on a lot of the specific features and benefits because of the high level. But going forward, whether it's Microsoft Teams or Groups, Power BI, or Skype for Business, any of the questions you have we'll answer now, but we will be having future sessions, and make sure you check your emails. In addition, we're going to be contacting one of you, one of the attendees who's been participating, with the gift that we mentioned at the beginning, the Office 365 home subscription. So make sure, again, check your emails. And other than those two things, I think we're good. And I just would like to thank everyone. It was a pleasure speaking with you today. Are there any questions? There's some feedback. Again, I really appreciate it.
Well, I guess with that, we'll probably wrap, Randy and Craig, right?
Definitely.
So.
I do have one question for Beverly, if she's still on the line. She says she uses her home office desktop about 85% of the time. I just want to be clear, is this a laptop? Is this a PC? And would you ever consider working from a phone or tablet? And I know that she can type in the bar. And I guess the same question for Elizabeth. Elizabeth said that she doesn't use any other devices. So Elizabeth, would you like to, or is just this not available for your work parameters? Craig, I'm sorry, were you going to say something?
No, was my hand up?
No, I thought you did. You raised your hand.
I did, my virtual hand.
No.